Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. It is always a blessing to share this space with everyone. It's always exciting to get a chance to interact with everyone. And it's been a little while since we talked. So I just want to give everybody the opportunity to ask questions. Got my phone on. So the focus of today's episode is freedom. And I really want to make that the goal of this particular episode. I want everybody to feel like you are free. Ultimately, when I talk about prosperity and manifestation, whatever that is, we're talking about reaching a level of freedom where you are free to do what you want to do when you want to do it. That can entail healing from emotional problems or whatever that is, or that can entail finding some solutions to problems that you have. But just take a moment and I want you to bring up a feeling of freedom. I want you to bring this feeling up into your heart. And I want you to remember what it feels like to be free, to do whatever you want. You are all free. And just say it right now. I am free. I am free. I am free. So I got some questions from the Discord group, and I'm going to start with those. Put questions in the chat on the video, and I will go through and do my best to answer the questions that you have. If I skip any questions, I apologize ahead of time. And if I speak too fast, which sometimes I do, then hopefully you can go back and check out the answers or reach out to me if you didn't understand what I was talking about. So, to begin with, in the Discord group, and you can reach out to me or Wanda and get the Discord link. Uh, I had posted that we were going to have the question and answers today, and we got some questions. The first one that I wanted to talk about in particular was I would like to ask. I believe this is Tanvi asked. I would like to ask, how do I free myself from other people's burdens and desires, not taking on their issues and connecting with my heart to know what it is that I truly want? So the idea is we're going through the world and sometimes we end up being burdened by the desires of others. And especially when we want to be of service, these desires can overtake us. So you have to take control of your life on some level, declaring your intentions and purposes, but you don't want to minimize the desires and intentions of others. And you're always going through a sort of balancing process. You will reach a point when you have satisfied your own desires, and the desires of others are important. They're not a bad thing, they don't drag you down. But at the same time, some people's desires can actually dominate yours and take away yours. So everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. If you have desires in your life, that's fine. That's good. If other people have desires in their life, that's fine. And that's good. What I want you to come to grips with is that there's nothing wrong with those desires. But if someone else has a desire, if you can, in your own mind, see them achieving their desires, but not connecting or letting it limit you in any possible way, that's one step. Honor them, honor their desires. If you have, sometimes you'll have solutions that come up for things that you can do that can be very, very helpful. And you can offer them suggestions and solutions. And so everybody's situation is a little bit different. It can be tough, and there's some amazing examples. So I would just say it's a balance that you want to do what you can to fulfill the desires of others, but don't let it manipulate, control, or dominate you in any way. Wanda asks, how would I coach a mother whose daughter is suicidal and starving herself? They've gone through all the normal routes of therapies. Sometimes I want to be able to say, I don't know. That's a tough one. We can honor them, we can send them light, but sometimes there's some things that move outside of yourself. So call upon God, call upon those around you for solutions, offer them love. The best thing that you can do for the mother is hold space for her, listen to her, connect to her. Sometimes you'll get guidance and intuitions that will give you solutions. And other times you simply need to be there for them. And that's all that you can really do. So, that's what I would say. That's a tough one. So I'm going to go through the chat here. Zinat Afzal says, can you suggest a meditation for finding a job? I've been job hunting for 2 years now, and it's been a long journey. I want to be free of this job hunting anxiety. Great question. Any of the meditations that I offer for manifestation, for wish fulfillment, particularly the Neville Goddard meditations or the sleep meditations, all of them will help you to get a job. Getting the job that you want is all a matter of imagination. So you need to be able to put yourself in that job that you want and feel freedom, which is the point of this episode. That freedom that you get from the job that you want. Sometimes the hardest thing about getting that job is the anxiety in building up to it. Getting a job is very much like finding love. And you can try too hard, you can place too much importance on certain job interviews, but it can be difficult because you got to put money on the table. So what you want to do is imagine, number one, the process of getting the job, going into the job interview, seeing the person uh, that you want to interview, having a good positive interview, coming out of it confident and positive, getting an email or text that confirms that you received the job, receiving your first paycheck, seeing the confirmation of the paycheck on the internet or with the paycheck in your hand, and then see yourself working at the job from first person perspective, sitting at the desk or doing whatever it is. Continue doing that and you will have success. Also, getting a job is a daily process. Putting your resume out there. If there is a reason that you haven't gotten a job up to this point, you need to be honest with yourself about it. What is the reasons that you are struggling to get the job that you want? And then change it. Be honest with yourself. Maybe you're doing something wrong in your interviews. Maybe you're doing something wrong in the process of finding the job that you want. Continue in that process and it will happen. Continue to live in the end and it will happen. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to Discord. I think there was one more question in Discord. How does one, EA asks, how does one free themselves from anxiety of when this will happen? Neville talks about living from the end, but when we don't see results, how do we free ourselves from the fear, anxiety of will this will happen? For myself, there are times I doubt myself in abundance. It trickles in but stops, and the opposite shows up. I reaffirm, script, listen to podcasts and meditations. I know that it is mine, but I am not truly free from fear. Abundance is only one example. So once you've gone through the process of imagining what it is that you want, then it's very important that you recognize that you have to let it go and face the Sabbath, which means on, in the Bible, they talk about the seventh day is the day of rest. You have to have that click where you know it's going to happen and you have to let it go. Don't place too much importance on the thing that you want. And a lot of the anxiety, the word that you're using, comes from living in the past or in the future. The more that you're in the moment, the less the anxiety comes up. What are the reasons that the anxiety is coming up? The anxiety is coming up because you're worried about something that happened in the past or that something will happen in the future. So that means that you're not in the moment. And when you're in the present moment, you're in the path towards the thing that you want. So a lot of times people will imagine and then they will spend a lot of time worrying and concerning themselves that this thing will happen. They create a level of energy that distorts their ability to get what they want. And that can disrupt the whole process. It's normal, it happens all the time. So you want to be in that process where you are in the present moment. Once you've imagined, you have that place where you rest and know that it's going to happen, and just continually remain in a positive and powerful state. And in those situations, in my own case, I've had the greatest success. All right, going through questions on chat here. Hey, Gil, always good to see you. What's up, Nanny? Love to see you, Maggie. Love you so much. I am Her Eminence is in the house. The Clo. All right. Agnes. Hey, Tina. Love you. Wanda. Cece. All right. What questions do we have? Who's asking questions here? As within, so without asks. If it's known that the subconscious mind is extremely powerful, and the subconscious mind doesn't comprehend or respond to no or and not, then why are the 10 commandments worded how they are? Well, I will say the law of one does a really good job of answering that question. And in fact, in a recent reading of Quo addresses that Jesus' path was, at one point he started to question the 10 commandments because they were all about what I can't do. And there's a distortion, I believe personally, in the Old Testament. Some of it comes from a negative polarity, and that the 10 commandments are actually from that negative polarity, because God would never say what you can't do. So the thing about the 10 commandments, and I would check out my in the they address this in the raw material, and I also talk about this. Quo discusses what Ra has to say, saying that an entity came along that instilled these 10 commandments. And while they have spiritual lessons within them, the New Testament kind of breaks those 10 commandments away and says the real true law is that we are all one, and love your neighbor as yourself. All right. You are free. Benjamin, what's up? Is there any way to get or purchase the 3-day money manifesting training that just happened recently? Thank you for asking, Benjamin. Very soon, I'll have an offer, and I'll maybe mention it on the channel, and everybody can get a recording of the Large Sums of Money conference. It was amazing. There's a bunch of people in here that participated in that event, and it was so much fun. We spent 3 straight days with meditations and trainings and guest speakers, and really in participating in that conference personally, I had a breakthrough. Everybody I've talked to has had breakthrough. I was just talking to Kyle Boyd. He has had a breakthrough in his business, and just participating in that event and really expanding on the affirmation, the Large Sums of Money affirmation, was amazing. So I promise you, probably in January, I'll have that available, and you'll be able to access the literature and all of the recordings from that event. Yes, you can put questions there, Louisa. That's what I'm looking at. Please put the questions in chat. Lisa Lewis says, my sons alienated me from their life now 8 years, influenced by their dad after we got divorced. How do I let go of this grief? Lisa, this is something that's actually been mentioned by some incredible New Thought teachers. Florence Scovel Shinn, Neville Goddard has some stories of examples where this has happened. And first of all, you have nothing to grieve about this. You can imagine and put yourself in a situation where your kids can come back to you. It is possible. This is the amazing power of the imagination. So I want you to spend some time imagining talking with your kids, feeling excited to talk to your kids, seeing them on a regular basis interacting with you. And when you continue to do this, there will be a point in time where you're going to get a phone call from one of your kids. Also, go back and revise what happened, the events that caused you to have this event, for you personally to not see your kids anymore. Go back and revise the event that happened, see the event differently, and you'll have other amazing things happen. If you're feeling grieving, like you did something wrong, remember, first of all, that was a different time. It was a different you, but also you didn't do anything wrong. Forgive yourself. You were doing the best that you could. You've changed. Don't feel personally guilty for it because it's part of your spiritual process. It's possible that you chose this as a spiritual lesson. Let's see. Additional questions. Marisa, I have chronic pain in my body, and I know the answer is unleashing my magic and sharing my gifts. But when I do, the pain intensifies. How do I move the pain? So, Marisa, I would ask, where is the pain? Where is it happening in your body? This may be a clue because it could be related to your energy centers on some level. So, if you're saying that when you release the magic, the pain happens, then it's an energetic level related pain, and it has something to do with your energy centers. So, go through the different energy centers in your body, and it may have something that is it heart related? Is it the solar plexus? Is it something to do with your root? Find out the psychological reason behind this pain. Go into the silence and ask yourself why this pain is coming up. You'll start to get clues and ideas, and it may help you to heal. I'd have to talk to you a little bit more specifically to find out the nature of the pain and what is happening. Have you talked to your doctor? Has the doctor given you advice? I'd like to know that. All right. Jessica, what is my opinion on transcendental meditation? Is it okay to practice along with my meditations? Thanks. Much love. Much love to you. If I mispronounced that, but Jessica, I'm a big fan of transcendental meditation, especially for people that are beginning in transcendental meditation. I don't necessarily like that it's commercialized where you have to go to some special place and be given a specific mantra. The reason the transcendental meditation works is because it can train your mind and put you into that state. It can change your brainwave state by repeating a single word over and over again. There is not a magic word that you have to necessarily repeat. You can find any word. If somebody tells you, you need to come to me to do the transcendental meditation, I'm not a big believer in that. But if somebody has found success by doing that, then more power to them. But I would say the process of repeating a word over and over again can be powerful. And scientific evidence has proven that transcendental meditation does work and is effective. And so definitely do it. It works perfectly with my meditations. Absolutely. All right. Where are all the questions? All right. Immortal, I'm looking for you. You asked a question. I'm rolling back. Immortal, you said you asked 10 times. I'm scrolling back. I don't see your question. More Immortal, where is it? Where's the question? Okay. I have a problem. Although I know that the power of imagination is unlimited and that it has literally saved me many times, it seems impossible for me to achieve anything with it except when they are extreme situations that involve a total change of life or even death. I just can't get that intensity on the not so urgent things. I'd like to own or be. What should I do? Any advice? Thank you. Immortal, I'm sorry it took me so long to get to your question. And so you are defining your power. So if you are saying to yourself, even on a subtle or subconscious level, that I can only achieve what I imagine in extreme situations, then you've created a rule in your own consciousness for that to be true. You are evaluating the effectiveness of your imagination by past events, which you should not do. It's natural and normal for you to do that. But if you've only been successful in extreme situations, that tells me that you require an elevated emotional feeling in order for the imagination to be effective. So that means that for you to put this into practice, that means that you need to elevate your emotions. If you put yourself in a feeling state, magnify it, multiply it times 100. Get physical with it, jump around, make the state that you're in extreme. That can take advantage of the underlying rules that you've set for yourself, and you may find success by doing that. All right. Thank you, Tina, for the donation. I appreciate it immensely. All right. Trying to find questions. If I skip one, I'm sorry. Um, Michael Seville says, what techniques or meditations should we check out for limited beliefs and confidence? So I have two meditations for self confidence. One of my very first ones is a hypnosis that you can use using neurolinguistic programming techniques that changes your confidence level. And I have some affirmations. I have another meditation which uses affirmations that you can do called courageous confidence. I believe that you can find your confidence, as I had learned in a recent reading of a Joseph Murphy teaching. When you realize who you truly are, that you are God, and you allow that living God within you to shine, that it's naturally for you to become more confident. If you stay within the little self of the ego, you're always going to have questions about your confidence. When I'm in that state, I question myself all the time. It's fluid for all of us. You can be confident one minute and then lack confidence the next. Confidence is really important, right? You need to be aware that within you is this spark. And if you allow it to grow and shine from within, that you are all powerful and anything can happen. And you need to tune yourself into this power. You need to tune yourself into it because when you do, anything is possible. If you have questions that come up in your mind where you question your own confidence, don't allow that to fester. Don't plant the seed of something that questions yourself. So do the opposite. See yourself as a glowing, powerful being. Know that you're beautiful and wonderful, and continue to affirm that I am powerful, I am awesome, I am wonderful, and continue to do that. A lot of times, self confidence is a subconscious program that you've had from the past. So, question that, go into the silence and ask yourself, why am I in this moment lacking confidence for what I'm doing? It could go all the way back to things that happened when you were a child. And if that's the case, revise it. Go back and heal it. Ask for light. Ask for your guidance on what you can do to heal it. It's a neurological program that's patterned into your body. And so you need to break that. And you can break that through repetition, through reprogramming your subconscious and being aware of who you truly are. Angel confirms that revision is good. I appreciate that. All right. I'm going to scroll back up just in case I missed something. I don't want to miss any questions. Brian Duvall, how can we remember our soul contract and find our purpose in life? This is a very interesting question. I found a lot of information from a recent QHHT session, and you can book a QHHT session just by going on Google, look up QHHT. You can find somebody local. This is a powerful technique that allows you to go into a deep, imaginative, subconscious state, and you become aware of past lives and your soul contract. If you make it your intention to understand your soul contract and you put it out there while you're in the silence, you will get answers in your dreams and in other situations. So I found, when I did my QHHT session, when you do a QHHT session, essentially it can take 3 or 4 hours and you're like laying on a bed and you get into a deep state. That's when stuff starts to come up. So when I did it, that is what allowed me. I had a breakthrough because I would always try to find the answer in a short meditation, even an hour-long meditation. And sometimes there's a barrier or a veil that you've put up so that you don't know about your soul contract. But if you really put a lot of emphasis on this, you can get an answer. Ask the question before you go to bed. In deep sleep, you'll get answers. When you wake up, write down your soul contract and do a QHHT session. I have some 4-hour hypnosis on the channel that sometimes helps when you do a longer term of hypnosis. If you're willing to sacrifice a long time. What I found for soul contracts, for some, it's not that bad, but for some, if you really want to know your soul contract, it forces you to go to a deep, deep state of your subconscious, and it requires you to do it almost in a deep state of sleep or a long, prolonged period of hypnosis. And when you do that, it can be effective. There is, I believe it's William Baldwin is somebody you can look up, a spirit releasement technique. He has some different books that are available for you that you can use to get soul contracts. And you know, if anybody else has suggestions, put it in the chat if that in particular is something you want to know more about. All right, who's got a question for me? So Shine says, if I don't like or fully understand what the numbers are saying, what should I do? I don't want to make the wrong choice and endure the bad effects. How can I really understand what the numbers mean or saying? So don't rely on the numbers. And when you mean numbers, I believe what you're saying is the numbers that you see in the world, the numbers that are coming up when the 1111 or the number on the license plate. Those numbers are there to guide you, and sometimes your guides or your higher self will allow you to focus your attention on a number in a moment, but don't depend on those numbers to tell you the truth. The truth is within you from your life and what you do on a regular basis. The numbers are going to say, for instance, if I see the 1111 on a regular basis, I'm always trying to analyze what's happening in my consciousness at that moment in time. Oftentimes what I find when I get the 1111, that I'm that means I'm aligned. Everything's aligned for me and I don't need to worry about it. There is some great places that you can look for numerology. Tina is an expert in numerology. There's some amazing coaches and teachers that teach about numbers. So I would recommend looking into it more. If you believe that you're receiving numbers as guidance, then follow that path. Write those numbers down. Ask yourself in the silence, as I always say, and you'll find more. And along the way, you'll have a book, you'll have a posting, you'll have something that will come up that will give you more information about the numbers. But don't think that you need to have numbers to make a decision. Oftentimes, I find that when you make decisions quickly, those are the decisions that you make that are correct. When you take a long time to make a decision, oftentimes that's not when you're relying on your intuition. All right. What do we got here? Amber asks, is the soul comprised of more beings than the one you are always, or is it a collective of other beings also with a soul? Amber, I don't know if I can give you the exact question. I believe the soul is one being, and the soul can be and is a part of a collective of beings. And in some cases, it can be several different collectives that have gathered over time. And so there is a collective of beings that right now there's a collective. We are a new budding social memory complex. We are a collective beings. And there are other collectives, your family and collectives from past lives, collectives from future lives that are looking back through time and revising what's happening. But I believe the soul is an individualized being, but we are all one anyway, and we are all one soul. So I see what you're getting at. We're all one soul, as Neville identified, we're all individualized at the same time. So Marianne asks, is the WEF, and I don't know what that is. If you can tell me what WEF stands for, I can come back and answer that question. I did want to take a moment to talk about cosmic disclosure and Corey Good. I'm super fascinated by that. One thing you've noticed with the podcast, I've not really talked about cosmic disclosure. It's a show that was on Gaia with David Wilcock and Corey Good. A lot of people wanted me to talk about it because they talk about the law of one on that show, and I never felt like they were telling the truth. I followed what resonated in my heart. And so there's a lot of people that have been deceived and spiritually, taken on a route that has been very frustrating. And if you watched recently, Corey Good came out in one of his, in a deposition stating that everything that he had said was not true. So, you need to, when you encounter material, including my material and other channelings and other people that say things, always follow what resonates. And that includes what I'm saying in this right now. If I'm saying something that doesn't feel right, that doesn't feel like I'm correct, go with what you say. You have an internal compass that's telling you what's right and wrong. And I want you to continue to follow that. That will allow you to move towards the freedom that you want. Louisa says, do I have ascendant masters that I speak with? I think it's maybe different for everyone. Yes, I have ascendant masters that I speak with. I started to get into regular conversations with ascended masters after creating masterminds through the Napoleon Hill technique by inviting different teachers to give me advice spiritually. And I have a meditation on the channel where I try to create uh, a group where I have different teachers that come to me and teach me different things. So Abraham Lincoln or Lao Tzu. And I've had some ascended masters that don't identify who they are that have been incredibly helpful. I do believe there's a cacophony and a symphony of different beings that are on a regular basis available to us that we can access that give us advice and information. And I believe that it's important that we open our minds and hearts to this information. We can access this more and more as we open up in meditation. Yes, Colleen, I'm all about fact checking. Uh, we live in a world of spirituality, and especially through the channel and talking about stuff like this, it can be very woo woo. And we make the mistake oftentimes of we hear somebody say something or somebody post something. For instance, I saw it on my Facebook group on a post about artificial intelligence and on quantum physics. People just say stuff all the time. They just say stuff. Ask, where did this come from? It's really easy for somebody to say something with a lot of clarity, and it can even seem authentic, but you can look at it and know that it's bullshit. And so what I am recommending that you do is evaluate whether the information is relevant, whether it's important. Try to ask where it's coming from, because clearly there are negative polarities and positive polarities that are trying to influence what information comes up. I see negative channelings all the time that I find to be dangerous and destructive because they're fear-based, and they seemingly are like, oh, Ross said this, or and it's couched in love. So be careful of the information that you're getting. All right, what do we got here? Amber says, are you aware of consciousness in being and questioning everything of your being and hear and think? Like, for instance, communication without trained verbal language, but just the body speaking in movement? I'm not quite aware of that. Maybe if you gave further information, I could try to answer that further. Benjamin, will you tell me how to consciously use the reticular activating system to always focus on what I want and manifest? That's a great question. I love it. So, for people that don't know, the reticular activating device or system in the brain is a portion of the brain that is amazing, and it's designed so that when you look for something, you will find it. And oftentimes, this leads to a confusion in understanding how the law of attraction works. So, when you, for instance, want to purchase a blue Subaru, all of a sudden you see blue Subarus everywhere. And some people are like, oh, I manifested that blue Subaru. And that's not true. The blue Subaru was always there. So the reticular activating device is always working. There's not really anything that you need to do, but understand that when you place your focus and attention on a subject, it is turned on. And then take advantage of this aspect of your mind. When you look for something and place your energy and awareness, intention and desire on something, the more and more the reticular activating system is awakened. So the amazing thing about this is that you can use it to pretty much answer any question that you have. If you have some deep, dark mystery that's within your mind, use the reticular activating device in your mind to find that answer. Look for the answer. You're going to find a book, you're going to find a channeling, you're going to find information that's going to come up. You'll find radio transmissions, you'll find music, you'll find movies. It's amazing how your mind will move you into states of consciousness that new information will come to you. So it's one of the secret ingredients of success and freedom is using your reticular activating device. Any question that you have about any topic, you will find the answer to. There is a global consciousness internet. And when you turn this part of your mind on, it's like putting a magnifying glass on that subject. There is no specific thing that you need to do. Just be aware that when you place your attention and consciousness on the thing that you want, that it will come to you over time. Just expect to start getting the answers. All right. Question. It's good. Helps me if you put question in caps at the beginning. I'm not feeling financially free yet, even after our days spent together. What can I do? I haven't figured out what is limiting me. Thank you. Anna, financial freedom is ultimately the goal that we all have with prosperity. And it is what I am imagining for everybody that's watching this right now. I want everybody to have a feeling of absolute financial freedom. So let's define what financial freedom is. That's the freedom to do what you want when you want. And freedom for many, that could mean I have enough money in the bank so that I don't have to work, that I have my rent paid, that all my bills are paid. So financial freedom for you might be different for other people. You are financially free right now. You can feel the financial freedom. I want you to regularly walk in financial freedom. What I found that I found more levels of financial freedom if I could create a feeling of financial freedom. And I struggle with this because I'm constantly thinking about paying my bills, taking care of my kids. It's easy for my mind to say, I got to do this. I need to have this. I need to do this. I need to, whatever it is. So for you to enter into that state of financial freedom, first of all, I want you to feel free, and you can feel free. There's been a time in your life where you were free. I want you to think about those times. Maybe it was when you were a kid, maybe it was when you got out of college. But if you can't remember a time when you were financially free, then I want you to imagine it. The next thing for financial freedom, as defined by Frederick Dotson in his book Prosperity Consciousness, is as we talk about in the Large Sums of Money conference, and I might go off on a little tangent that you may not be used to, but it's all about the income that you receive and the passive income you receive. Frederick Dotson defines financial freedom as the passive income that you're receiving is more than your total bills. So when I release the recordings for that conference, definitely check that out and you can get access to that information because we discuss passive income. But there are a variety of sources that are available to you when you turn on the reticular activating device that you can find passive sources of income. What we always like to affirm with the reality revolution is that large sums of money come to you easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all that you get to keep. Multiple sources is the key element in that affirmation. If you have sources of income that are coming to you now, don't rest on your laurels. Continue to look for additional sources of income outside of the income that you receive. Maybe it's a book that you can publish. Maybe it's a property that you can purchase with financing from someone else. There are a variety of ways that you can gain passive income. And what I find really interesting is when I focus on passive income, I have new opportunities coming up. And it's amazing. Sometimes it's so wonderful to receive income that you didn't work for, that you can feel guilty about it. And that's a whole other level. So continue to look for passive income. And that should also enhance your moving towards financial freedom. But we all want financial freedom. So I want us for just a moment, just to see all the people in this chat feeling free in their heart, in their body, in their mind. They feel financially free. I want us to send light to everyone that that financial freedom is available, and I want you to take it. It's available to you right now. There is a place in the multiverse right now where you are financially free. It is just right there, right next to you. The veil is thinner and thinner, and you can see it, you can feel it, you can shift into it if you open yourself up and accept that it is yours. Thank you, Osmond. Thank you for the donation. It means a lot, brother. I love you. Wishing you a Merry Christmas as well. What we got? Deborah asks, why do I feel death and separation from I amness so profoundly now? I can't handle it. So, Deborah, I understand what you're saying. When you say death and separation from I amness, that means that you have an awareness of the feeling of I amness. So for you to feel a death and separation from I amness, it means that there's some part of you that remembers that I amness. Perhaps it's been a long time and you have a craving or desire to enter back into the I am state. It's not necessarily that it's there is a separation, it's a longing for moving back into union with source. I would definitely check out the meditation Behold, I make all things new. That one really really had a powerful effect on me. That's an affirmation that I shared that I find incredibly powerful and incredibly effective, because I affirm at the beginning of that I remove the suggestion and programming from all worlds, in all places, in all lives, that I am separate from source, that I am free, that I have come. I make all things new. Try that meditation out. That is one that really helped me to move away from that feeling. But that death, that feeling of separation, it's a normal feeling. It means that you can taste it, that it's almost there. That the more profound that feeling is, the closer you are to your union. Jamie asks, what do you think the best way to approach or address family constellations, the generational trauma that our souls may carry? I'm not sure I have the full understanding of that question when you say family constellations, but there is generational trauma. And I believe we can generationally revise. There is some amazing techniques. As scientists have found, that there's stuff in our DNA that is generational and it affects us. So you can make it your intention to go back and revise past generational events, ancestral events. You can send light to your ancestors and it can heal that trauma. And it is very, very powerful. It's on the tip of my tongue. Maybe somebody can help me. I did interview somebody that wrote a book about that, about ancestral healing. And maybe later, or I'll come back and put it in the comments. She has a pretty good meditation on that. But in meditation, connect to your ancestors, because remember, all of time is happening at the same time. It's not linear. Connect to your ancestors and send light to them. And it is very, very powerful when you do that. Thank you, Trevor. Love you, brother. All right, let's see. Yes, you are the one creating the separation. We are all creating the separation. I did feel the portal of light activation, Tina. I think a lot of people did. And I think I've felt a lot of new energies. One weird thing with the recent activation that I felt is like friends of mine that normally like to smoke pot uh, felt like they didn't want to because it was blocking these energies. It's kind of interesting. I do believe that we've had some new energies that have come up. Question. Smile a while. How can we protect ourselves from mean people or very negative energy from relatives that we must spend time with? Smile. That's a great question, especially as we move into the holiday season, moving into Christmas. How can we protect ourselves? First of all, I struggled with this for a long time because people are mean. And when I realized that I was seeing an aspect of myself and it was like I was looking in the mirror, I tried to heal this part of myself. And it was hard. That sounds so cliche when we say, "Oh, it's all a mirror and everybody you see is yourself." There's a deeper teaching with that. I had to come to grips with the part of myself that was mean, that carried this negative energy. And so the best solution in those cases, and oftentimes the hardest, because sometimes you meet people that are mean and terrible and it's hard, is to hold them in a state of love. Excuse me. So when you hold people in a state of love, even when they may continue to be mean, it will inevitably change their programming and their vibration on some level. Remove yourself from the situation. Smile. Agree with what they're saying sometimes. Sometimes you have to agree with things you don't necessarily agree with. Change the subject. If you're seeing responses on other people's faces, sometimes they're not being mean. It's something going on with them. And maybe that's a sign that they need healing, that they need love. So when you see this, it's an opportunity for you to heal something within yourself. And, people are mean right now. People are tough. They're just not nice in a lot of situations. What do we do about that? It's tough. Send them love, hold them in a loving place, imagine them in a different situation. And sometimes the best thing to do is to let it go. And those people move on outside of your circle eventually, and they're on their own path. All I can do is send them love. Montana, question. Intention craft, best practice for setting and manifesting intentions. How long to focus and when to release the intention? Montana, that's a great question. And the word intention to me is different than affirming. It's what you intend to do. And I think there's an intention energy that is very powerful. So there's a ton of great practices for intention and manifesting intentions. And really, that's what the podcast is dedicated. There's something that I've learned recently that's very powerful. If you have an intention, I want you to write it down on a piece of paper. I want you to write down your intention on a piece of paper. It may change over time. I want you to fold that piece of paper and I want you to write thank you. And I want you to bury it, place it somewhere in your house in a place where you're not going to find it. You can continually affirm and imagine along the way, knowing what your intention is, but plant the seed of your overall intention and it will come up. Don't pull up the seed to look and see if it's growing. Water it, give it energy, imagine with it. There is a variety of amazing techniques in intention. But if you have the intention, let all of your actions, thoughts, and behaviors and focus and awareness be garnered by that intention. The key for your intention is the chief definite aim. You may have multiple different intentions, and that's fine, but you'll find great effectiveness in allowing your intentions to become realized by focusing on a definite chief aim. Focus on it with the energy and heart, feel it to be real, and then let it go. Don't elevate the importance of it. Know that it's going to happen. But, I'm continually working on it. I believe that it's a science that is detailed and complicated, and we can make it super complicated or we can make it super easy. And I'm fascinated, and I am continually on a weekly basis talking about practices for manifesting intentions, and there is a whole variety of them, and please share them with me. I'm a collector of these different techniques, and check out my book, The Reality Revolution. I talk about that even further. All right. Question. What does it mean if I felt a succubus spirit while having a wet dream with someone I no longer want to be with? Shine, I would say, what did you mean by a succubus spirit? What did you mean by a wet dream? If you have a spirit that's entering into your environment that you don't want, then tell them to leave. You're all powerful. You can cleanse your energies with crystals and incense and a variety of different other techniques. But if you invited this spirit to you, perhaps you can communicate with it, you can talk with it. When you say succubus spirit, do you mean a spirit that's taking your energy? And if that's the case, then tell them to go. Send them love, send them on their way. If you need to, you can sometimes, if you're attached by cords, you can sever cords. Tina is pretty good at that. There are crystals that you can use, there's techniques. I have an episode on cutting the cord. It's kind of a complicated question. I would probably need to know more about that. Kawa says, "Hi, Brian. I've been trying to manifest something for almost a year, but it's nowhere to be found. I've read Neville Goddard, Dr. Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill, but there is no results." So this is very common, Kawa, and it depends on what you're manifesting. When you're trying to manifest something, it will happen in its own time, in its own way. And if it's been a year, maybe it needs to take longer. Don't give up on it. Don't assume that it's not going to happen. Continue to assume that it's going to happen. Some of the most amazing miracles and manifestations will occur after several years. Some of the things that I've had happen to me, they took 10 years to occur. Something that I was trying to manifest and imagined on a daily basis, almost daily, for 10 years happened for me. And I went through periods of doubt. I went through periods where I questioned it. Analyze what you're thinking on a regular basis, not what you're imagining in a single event or a meditation. Remember, every single thought and action is important along the way. I needed to learn that. So it's important for you to monitor your thoughts. And if you have thoughts that are opposing this thing that you want, then create a thought that is the opposite of it. Continually focus on that. You have the willpower to change your thoughts. And when you continue to do this on a regular basis, wonderful things will happen. Harms. Brian, how can I cultivate the belief in myself when manifesting? Harms, I would say through auto suggestion. You can go back and look at what you've done in the past, and you may not agree with me, but I promise you that you are pretty awesome and that you've been successful in the things that you want to do. I promise you. So continually affirm that you are powerful, that you are effective, that you are wonderful, and allow it to seep into your subconscious mind. And if you continue to do that, you'll find that you can change that. I believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you. And maybe that's what you need. You need to believe in yourself. Believing in yourself is the key. So you're at the right place. Why don't you believe in yourself? Do you have questions about yourself? Then what's the reasons for that? Let's address those. If you address those, then you can overcome them. And the process of finding a belief in yourself can take time or it can happen instantaneously. Know that everything that you've created in your life is what you have created for yourself. So If you are aware of what you've done in the past, then you'll start to believe of what you can do in the future. That is probably the best place to start. But if you are still questioning yourself, continually question what you've been doing. Look at what you've been doing in the past, and you'll see the effectiveness of it. You'll start to really believe in it because you'll see that you have been all powerful all this time. Thank you, Lynn, so much. Happy holidays to you. Sending you love and light for sure, always. I am her eminence. You have, let's see, you have to goalize your vision so you can feel and grow with it and become. It's a great suggestion. It's so true. All right. What else do we got? How can you hold or come back into the energy of abundance if you only achieve it from time to time? ND asks, how can you hold or come back into the energy of abundance if you can only achieve it from time to time? You achieve what you believe most of the time. So if you're questioning it, or if you're going through periods of lack, or if you feel separated from source, that's when you're outside of it. And it's an ongoing process. Even Neville Goddard said, don't rest on your laurels, because he realized that we're constantly creating all the time. So if you encounter situations or things that are coming up that seemingly oppose the abundance that you want to manifest in your life, then go back, start from square one, bring up those feelings of abundance, affirm it, imagine it, believe it, listen to podcasts or meditations. It's a continuous process. Sometimes it's frustrating. If you have successes, make a big deal about them. Put them down, write them down, remember them. That those are always things that you can go back to bring back that energy of abundance that you want. All right. Nico says, how can I create a feeling that I've never had when not having any experience in the physical world? That's a great question. And it's a question I have struggled with. It's a question that I've asked a number of people in interviews. How can I create a feeling of being a billionaire when I'm not a billionaire? So I have found that when I started studying acting, that I found a really amazing resource to create feelings of things that I wasn't aware of. The imagination is powerful, and you can access those feelings. I have found accessing those feelings when I read autobiographies, when I write out scripts of a world that I want to be in that I have not experienced yet, and I play it out like I'm writing a story that I'm in, then I start to get those feelings. If you're not a writer, you can record a story, but become an actor and outline all the things that you would feel. It really does create, it requires an immense amount of energy and detail for some manifestations to create feelings that you have not created before. If you ask the question, how would I feel if, you will receive answers, even if you have not felt. If you don't initially, continue to ask the question, how would I feel if? But don't just ask the question. Put your body into a physical state. Change the way your body, the way your posture is, the way your face is. Sometimes there is a component where you change the way your body is holding itself, where it starts to create the feelings that you want. So you can sometimes create the feeling by putting yourself in a body state. Continue to act out events and situations of what it would be like physically, and you'll create those feelings. But there is an art to manifestation, and that is one of the arts, is creating feelings that you have not felt in your life. All right. Yes, Deb, music helps raise your frequency. Question, Cosmic Diana. My intuitive voice is so quiet, and sometimes I have no answer, no idea at all. When I really need to know, any tips how to strengthen and loud up intuition? That's a great question. I have a playlist on the channel on intuition, and there is so much to know about intuition. Understand, intuition is not always hearing a voice. Intuition is an awareness that you're in a state where you're aware of all the other realities that are available to you, and your intuition knows of the possibilities and potentials that can come. And so you can sense sometimes through your body and the energy centers of what's happening. So sometimes people have intuitions because they get a headache. Sometimes people have intuitions because they become thirsty. So what you want to do is really evaluate what is happening in your body. Also, sometimes intuition happens in very quick bursts. So oftentimes I've found that people are most intuitive immediately after they ask questions. They expect for intuition to come later on, but it's the immediacy after asking questions. So check out my episode on how to make decisions. Intuition is an ongoing thing that you want to master and control. Take notes, write journals, and evaluate how your intuition was in the past. Sometimes your intuition is wrong, and you'll see, oh, I made a mistake there. I heard voices and my voices were wrong, or I had a gut feeling and my gut feeling was wrong. Everybody's a little bit different, but you make it your intention to tune into your intuition, and you will get better and better at it. And you want to look at all the signals, all the goals, open your mind up to all aspects of information that is coming in to you. Yes, Rhonda, you have to believe it to achieve it. No doubt about it. Let's see. Question, Lucida. Have I missed a question? Put them again as they're coming up and scrolling. I don't want to miss a question. Uh, First, I'll start with Ellie Belly. My question. I love Neville. LOO. Reality transferring, but there's a clash with some of the concepts, and I get confused which one to follow completely. What do you do? Thank you for asking that question, Ellie Belly. As you go down the spiritual path, you're going to find paradoxes. You can see a discussion of this in my recent interview with Mitch Horowitz. Mitch says, he's on one end, he's talking about talking to the God, to different God spirits, and at the same time, Neville Goddard is saying there's only one God. And so I said, hey, isn't this a paradox? In reality transurfing, there's contradictions in reality transurfing to Neville Goddard. What I find is when you accept that is a possibility that both are true, and within both, there is an answer. Sometimes when you try, if you say, hey, this contradicts that, so I can't evaluate that system, that you end up losing a lot of the power from that one system. So it's an ongoing process. And so when there is a paradox between two systems, that's when there's real answers that you will find along the way. Ultimately, I've been able to take one idea and another seemingly contradict, and I can find, well, they don't really contradict because they will integrate, and I can give different examples of that. But I would continue to say that two things can be true at the same time. The mind is always looking for contradictions. We exist in multiple universes that have multiple laws, and multiple things are going on. So be open and accepting of paradoxes that happen, and see that those might be opportunities for you to learn more. And along the way, in that paradox, you might find a greater answer that allows you to manifest the things that you want. Lucida. Brian, have you experienced dropping things flying out of your hands and cracking? Could this be shifting in energy and timelines? Ooh, Lucida. Yes, I've experienced dropping things. I've experienced things cracking. As somebody that's inordinately interested in parallel reality shifting, I have found that one clue that you've entered into timelines is I've had things in my hands, and then I look down and the things on the ground, little glitches like that, dropping things coming into my hands that I didn't have, things cracking because energy shifts. So, yeah, that's an example that you might have shifted in realities, and it's one of many. All right. CJ, question. I have so many different ideas for creative projects to bring into the world and have trouble deciding on which idea to go with, so I stay stuck. How to know which ideas hold the most gold? Hey, I get it. When you are in your imagination, man, oh man, there is so much amazing stuff available. And I sometimes struggle with the number of wonderful ideas that I have that come to me. So, what you want to do is take an idea. If you can't choose one, just randomly pick one then and spend some time on that idea. I was talking to somebody the other day that has a couple of amazing writing projects, and they were kind of going through the same thing as you. So, in order for you to take an idea and move it to the next level and go from that gap where you take that idea and create it, you have to go through this gap. And part of that is spending time, selective curiosity, as we talked about in the recent episode. Focus on that thing. Maybe it's for 30 minutes or an hour, but exclude everything else. Build that idea up, work on it, see how you feel when you're done. A momentum starts to take place when an idea really hits you in the heart. It doesn't necessarily happen right away. Then the next time you have a chance, spend an hour on another idea. Put your time into it and let it take fruit. Let it grow. Write on it. Think about it. Work on it. Spend time on it. Now you're going to have two things that are going, and some people can continue to work on those two things and let them expand. But you may, at that point, after you've spent a little bit more time on that second idea, you might say, "Oh, that first one really, it moves me a little bit more right now. I still like the other idea, but I'm going to work on this one." So you have to choose one and then really put your interest into it. And then as you do, you're going to start to learn more about it. You might have to do this with 5 or 6 ideas before you have one that really takes hold. But write your ideas down, make sure that they're documented so you can come back to them later, and then spend time with those ideas. In this world, sometimes that's hard. Spend an hour in the morning, an hour after work, an hour during the weekend. We all have weekends. Sometimes we have time during our weekends, and you can definitely do that. So, thank you for that question. I think a lot of people are struggling with that because when you're in your imagination, there's so many amazing ideas that are coming all the time. So, Deb, thank you so much. I bless you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Bless you. All right. Question. How can I manifest friends, human or otherwise, to hang out with? Hey, that's a great question, especially in this day and age. I believe that we've kind of changed in the world. It's unfortunate because with social media and the internet, we have friends all over the world, and I have many of you I consider my friends. I consider most of the people I see in the chat my friends, and many of them I haven't met. I've met Maggie, I've met Tina. I consider Gil a good friend. We can be friends with people outside of social media and the internet and Facebook. But I would say that I feel you, especially this time of year. There's a craving to have that friendly connection, to meet other people. So make it your intention. Make it your intention that you want to meet people. And in order to have friends and meet people, you got to get out of the house. Go to events, go to gatherings. Hey, go to church, even if you don't necessarily believe everything they're preaching. Volunteer, put yourself in situations where you can interact with other people. And if you do meet somebody online, go the next step and say, hey, let's have coffee. Let's do something together. Sometimes, people are hesitant. A lot of people don't like to interact, but want to be your friend. That's fine. But if you make it your intention, somebody's going to come along the way. People are not trusting, but make it your intention to to make friends. And when you do, there's someone else along the way that's going to say, hey, I want to be your friend. I've noticed a tendency for people as they get older to not create positive, powerful friendships. And the one thing I can tell you from watching, my dad is one of my favorite people ever. I believe my dad was an ascended master. He was just a veterinarian, but my dad had a friendship that was so powerful. It was just as powerful as his wedding, as his marriage with my mother. And this friendship, it helped him, it guided him. And we have friendships, and we need more friendships, and we need to maintain friendships. And if anybody is in the group, I say, hey, join, get together, have dinner with each other, talk to each other, talk on the phone, Zoom with each other if you have to. We need to come together as a group. We need to come together. It's okay to be friends and maintain friendships. People don't trust. People are afraid. People are afraid to connect. We need to connect. And if you make it your intention, you're going to find friends. And there's some amazing people out there. And I can't wait for you to come back and tell me about the friendships that you gain. Because you know what? This time, it's a lonely time. I had somebody that reached out to me. It's the time of year. It's lonely. And I feel when I go into the feelings empathically of the people in this group that I feel connected to, I feel a loneliness. I'm there with you. You're not alone, but I feel it. I feel it. And I want us to overcome this loneliness. I really do. Because we're all so wonderful. We're all so special. If you're following what's going on in the media and you get scared on the news, you don't want to have those connections. And it's unfortunate because there's so many amazing people, and we can overcome this loneliness. And there's no reason for it. I'm with you, and everybody is here with you. Let's see. People wear me out, Judy. I get that. I hear you. It's natural. It's because also a lot of people are becoming more empathic, and people can wear you out. All right. Question. What's a question? Give me a question. Are we out of questions? I'm going to scroll back up. Nana, question. I use Neville Goddard to imagine things I want before sleep, but I always end up with dreaming something else and related to negative memories from my past. It's a good question. Oftentimes, when you're imagining something, and we don't talk about it enough, it inspires some part of your imagination to imagine the opposite. So, Nana, I would say that uh, there are clues that you might get from those experiences that you have in your dreams, but also you can become lucid in these memories, and it gives you an opportunity to go back and change them. So, continue imagining when you go to sleep, and if you can, if these negative memories come up, write them down. Maybe there's clues within them that will help you to get the thing that you're imagining. Maybe there are things there that are telling you what's blocking you. But also, if you become lucid in your dreams, you can change that memory. So try to become lucid. Do something in that moment. Am I dreaming right now? Change the memory if you can. All right. Larry says, how can I know if the presence I perceive where did I okay, where how can I know if the presence I perceive are the light or for my highest good? It's a good question. You're going to come along people along the way when in meditating. Check out my episode I read from Ram Dass. As you become awakened, you'll also find you'll meet presences, and you'll give them extra power because it's this presence. And sometimes they're not for the higher good. So I would continually invoke light from the highest good, continue to invoke what you believe is the highest good. If you have a presence that comes to you, then challenge it. I challenge you in the name of Christ or whatever you personally hold as the highest good. And they will leave if they are not for your highest good. come right out and say it. Are you here for my highest good? That is probably the most effective way that I have found to question and understand when you have presences that come into your consciousness. Oh, question. Oh, I just saw one and I missed it. Colleen, why have I never been able to put my fingertips together when praying? Seems like there's too much power that I can't handle. Wow, that's interesting. I have not heard that. Uh, I don't know. If anybody else can help in answering that question, I would definitely find a way of grounding your energy if that's what you're experiencing. I would try the Merkaba technique, where you use single fingertips in each way, grounding it, seeing the energy go down into the earth. That might be a way of grounding the circuits. You might have circuits that are overworked. So try the Merkaba meditation. And if you still can't get your fingertips to touch, then try grounding before you meditate by putting your feet in the soil or just walking around barefoot. That might be something that can help. I know that I've missed some questions. We're getting close to the end here. Man, oh man. Karen, is changing to different timeline truly undetectable? Are you seeing that other people in your experience change in some way? Karen, it is detectable. The more you do it, the more detectable it is. There is an aspect of yourself that will protect you uh, from major shifts that make you question your sanity or put you in a dreamlike state where things happen. But I've seen people change. I've seen objects change. At the beginning, I would flip out about that, and then things would shift back. But yes, you will absolutely see things happen the more and more you do it. Grounding wires could work, mad Mel. Yes. Okay, I saw a question and I'm so afraid I'm gonna miss a question. C, light 9. Brian, why am I seeing 111, 222, 333, 444, and 555? I've been literally perplexed by this, and it has been going on since early August. I would first say that it's specific to you, that there is different places that you can look at the specific meanings of numbers that you can find on the internet in books. But I would just say that you should just get excited when somebody tells me that it means something incredible is about to happen. Don't be perplexed. Just when you don't know what it is, sit in a state of expectancy that wow, something amazing is about to happen. You're going to have something amazing happen when you see those numbers. Mind Body Soul asks, do you believe we can shift to a parallel reality where we look noticeably different? Yes. I have shifted into a parallel reality where I looked noticeably different. I lost weight. My face looked different. I changed from having an underbite. The color of my eyes changed. I had a different color of eye. I've also seen other people change. Yes, we can. In some cases, it's a gradual shift. And in some cases, you'll be given explanations like, oh, that's why I look different. But when you really think about it, it's not as clear. But yes, you absolutely can shift into parallel realities where you look noticeably different. I know I missed one. Ellie Belly, how do you manifest someone away from you if they are purposely abusing you? Mine is through the courts, very specific. Okay, thank you. Uh, there are times when you have people that are in your life that are truly working against you. They carry negative energies, and you want to move away from them. So the number one thing is you have a choice. Whatever your situation is, where you live or whatever it is, you can still choose to live and move yourself away from them. And so that's the first thing. And the second thing is, sometimes you need to get legal help. There are services that can help you in those cases where if you feel like you're in danger. So I don't want to give you any advice. You can contact the police and the state and they can help you, but on a metaphysical level, you can send them love And you can, what I have found success is the Silva mind control technique. Right before you go to sleep, you roll your eyes up to the top of your head. You ask yourself to awaken when you're linked to the mind of the person that you want to move. Then you'll find yourself waking up at some point in the night, and then use that opportunity to communicate with them and ask them, please leave me, move away. I would appreciate it. And I've had cases where they were able to leave in that particular case. But I would suggest there are other people in the group that might have better suggestions for that. But don't choose to remain in the situation simply because you have no choice. You can choose to leave, and there are opportunities for you to do that. Star observers. Question: can you speak on any personal experience you have with scripture fulfilling in your life? Can I speak on any specific instances of scripture happening in my life? The scripture that I've found that is most interesting is the story that Jesus tells of the lepers that Neville Goddard also speaks about, where he heals the lepers and only one of them come back and say thank you. And I found, I would imagine and attempt to heal other people, and I would later see that they were healed or great things happened for them. um, but they might not ever say, "Oh, thanks, Brian," and they might not have attributed what I was able to do for them. um, and there was a little period of time where I was like, well, I guess they weren't grateful for it. And then I realized through that scripture that it's not really about me, and there usually one out of the 10 lepers would come back and say, "Thank you, Jesus." There's different levels of teaching to that, but I've had that experience, and several others. I'd have to think on that. It's a really interesting question, Star, but I haven't had a lot of scripture, but I honestly don't have experiences where I'm thinking about scripture. I'm not like Neville. I might look back on scripture and say, "Oh, I remember when that happened." I would love to know if you've had scripture fulfilled in your life, or if anybody else has. All right, what do we got here? Are we getting close to the end? A few more questions. Mary says, "Speak on what God stated in the impersonal life about creating masters when we think we need them. Is this not true with spiritual stuff?" Yes, Marie, in the impersonal life, great book, definitely read it. One of the main points that Joseph Brenner mentions is that there is no guru out there that knows the secrets for you. That the guru is you, and within you you have all the answers. And that's always true. You're going to come along masters and people that you meet that seemingly have the answers. I can only tell you, I don't have the answers. I'm on the same spiritual path as everyone else. It's my intention to inspire you to find your answers. But if you meet somebody along the way, there's some amazing teachers out there that I've learned so much about. But ultimately, in the end, the answers are within. You are the guru. All right. Benjamin said, "Would you be interested in doing videos on NLP control room and belief change work techniques?" I've used NLP control room techniques in the self confidence video. I can certainly, that's a good idea. I might do some more. People are not as interested in NLP techniques, but I'll definitely look into doing that. There's lots of ideas for new episodes all the time. All right. I think we're getting close to being done. Shannon, do you have a recommendation on a good text or learning about how to lucid dream? Let me see if I have the book. I'm going to have to get back to that. There's a couple of amazing books that I recommend, but I don't have it. It's on the tip of my tongue. And there is a couple of amazing books on lucid dreaming. There is a book called Dream Yoga that I recommend that does a really good job of helping you move through the process of lucid dreaming. I just don't have the name of the author. And somebody earlier on had asked about my 3 favorite books, and I love that question, and it's impossible for me to say my 3 favorite books. Truly, it is impossible for me, because there is hundreds and hundreds of books that I love. I definitely love Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I definitely love Reality Transurfing. I don't want to elevate one book over another. I definitely love The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Those are 3 that come to mind right now, uh, in terms of spirituality. I love The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. That's amazing. I can't name 3. There's just too many. Yes, that's the one, Zelia. Dream Yoga by Andrew Holochek. Amanda, do I think that deep sea and other physical places on Earth might be portals to other dimensions? Yes, I do. I believe there's a whole unexplored world underwater where we will find the evidence of Atlantis and so much more. And there are definitely energy portals. Shannon, she says, do I have a recommendation on a good text or learning about how to lucid? Oh, I think we just mentioned Dream Yoga by Andrew Holisek is a good starting point. And if you're in the Facebook group, once I have the other book, I'll make sure to mention it. All right. I know that I've missed some questions. All right. MW is here. Question: how best to tell the difference between having intended and manifesting an outcome and intuiting what was already in place to occur? I'm not sure how to answer that. I think that that your intuition and intention can be related, uh, but you're constantly creating, and there's nothing that's already in place to occur. Everything that you're experiencing is constantly being created and manifested. So, if it's already in place to occur, it's because you manifested it. All right. As many of you question, okay, Nico, can I ask my sixth dimension self for guidance as a quo readings was saying that all of our selves are present at this time, and how would I ask? Nico, thank you for asking. I think it's a great question. We all have access to a higher self. It's a version of you that lives 6 million or 6 billion years in the future, that has experienced all of the different timelines. There's a seventh dimensional version that experienced all the realities, but there's a version in the sixth density that has experienced all of the different lives. And so you can access that. Check out my meditation on merging with the higher self. As we are entering into the new earth, the veil that is between our subconscious and the unseen world is lifting. And so we are closer and closer to the higher self. I have a book coming out soon. I'll be giving details on it, called The Field Manual to the New Earth, that goes into greater detail about it, where I talk about my own discussions with my higher self. You can access the higher self on a regular basis, and more, I believe that if you go within and ask yourself, you'll get answers, you'll get guidance all the time. You can do that in the silence, in meditation. There are a variety of techniques, but the higher self is constantly with you all the time. It's almost like a technology. And the more and more you ask, the more and more that you sit and ask for questions, you will be given answers. Uh, Early on the channel, I had a question called connecting. I had a meditation called connecting to the quantum higher self, and that was when I had started interacting with the higher self. But if you check out my meditations on the higher self, I think they're all powerful. You are going through a process of connecting to the higher self on a daily and regular basis. If you make it your intention, you can do it. But check out my meditation, Merging with the Higher Self. Danny Raptis, question: what do I think about human design, and have I looked into it? I have looked into human design. My sister is a big fan. I am not into a big fan of systems that, uh, even though they're accurate and there's probably all kinds of interesting truths with human design, that try to limit who I am and tell me that I'm in a specific group or in a specific um or that I'm defined by when I was born or other things. I believe I have ultimate control and power over all situations in my life. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that human design isn't true. In my own path, I'm trying, and my sole purpose is on reality creation and controlling my reality. Human design has some amazing truths and things that you can learn from it, but I don't want to be separated and identified as a specific facet. And human design does a little bit of that. I think there's some great teachers out there, and there's different levels and some different things that you can learn from it. And I say there's a place for everything. I think that it could be somewhat similar to what they talk about in the Law of One in the exploration of archetypes. Jeffrey asks, did I try connecting to the family of Neville Goddard for an interview? Really, there is only the daughter that's and she does not talk to anybody. I spoke with Mitch Horowitz, and she doesn't want to really talk to anybody. So no, I haven't done that. Thank you, Yolanda. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here, but let's end this on a short little meditation. I just want you to just close your eyes a little bit. I want you to feel the energies of the earth coming into your heart. I want you to see the energies coming down. We lost somebody in the group this week, and it very much saddened me. It was JW was his name, Justin Wadsworth. JW was a cheerleader who supported the channel and made comments on my videos before anybody else did from the very beginning. And uh, I was deeply saddened by his loss. And I know that Justin is with us right now. And so I want to send light to Justin. I want everybody to know that you're not alone. I want you to feel that freedom when you walk away from this episode. I hope that I answered your questions. I know that many of you asked questions, and I'm sorry I didn't. But I want you to affirm this with me and for everybody. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know how I serve. I am free. I am free. I am free. Feel that freedom in your heart. You came here with that freedom and you have access to it at all times. You are free to do what you want when you want. I want you to believe in this. I have seen it. I have felt it. I've experienced it in my life. I've seen it through many other people's lives. And if you're suffering from limitation or lack in any way, I want you to know that it just takes a second for you to access this energy and for us to share this energy of freedom for a moment. Let's share this little bit of silence and hold this freedom for all of us together right now in this moment. For all of us who are here before and who all of us who have left on into other lives and to other places and other dimensions. I want us to all hold this freedom together in our heart space together, joining together. We are all free. We are all free. You are free. I am free. Maria's free. Mad Mel is free. Chloe's free. Sharon's free. Lisa's free. Osmond, you are free. Kimmy, you are free. Lisa, you are free. MW, you are free. One Alien, you are free. Jasmine, you are free. Mad Mel, you are free. Everyone here is free. I want you to embrace this. You can do what you want. You can be what you want. You can have what you want. It is all yours. Please. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the meditation, the Wealth Truth Formations. It's a wealth meditation, a new affirmation technique. Check out the episode for Quo this Sunday. It's amazing. I love you all so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you coming and joining me for this live. And I don't like doing these lives, but I'll try to do more in the future. I wish I could answer your questions. I will do my best. I see the question that Katarina had. I appreciate all of you. Anyway, thank you so much. and welcome to the reality revolution.